Good evening, you sir, and welcome to a scene. And the scene is set in the Pleasure Palace, owned by Bianca Cassidy, Bruja in good standing. Tonight's scene, Bianca begins the night in her throne. It's a very busy night. The house is full. She's on edge, but she's not too far gone. She's not catatonic. It's survivable. She's definitely on edge. Her eyes narrowed, always glancing around at each noise she hears as the scene opens.
Well, you know how these things are. Always good to make an entrance, pay your respects. And after a long conversation with Nora Rogers, try and keep a certain degree of civility. It's not all that hard, you show up what you do and you try and end up making sure that it's all in good impressions. Bartholomew makes his way to this palace, a place of, well, acquired tastes, should we say. He walks slowly enough, one hand behind his back, the other gripping the cane. It seems to push the side almost like a sword that divides the crowd as he moves by, and maybe an occasional character with a odd kink, should we say. Don't much matter to him if the lady's young enough to end up being his granddaughter. It's brings him back to his youth. That's not the reason for business. Deny it in that regard. No. Today he's here to meet the lady of the house, one Bianca Cassidy. Not hard to find, not at all. After all, there she sits upon the high rise, the top seat, the best seat in the house, looking over the whole joint as she gazes about. Can't help but smile when his eyes meet hers a little. Starts to approach, slowly hobbling forward.
She will give a smile and a polite nod to Mr. Blanchet. Good evening, sir.
Ah, dear lady. Well, quite the establishment. You will pardon, of course, the lateness of my coming, but I think you can understand individuals such as myself doesn't make for, well, large gatherings and open nights, and I feel it would be disrespectful to end up slowing you down on your special night. Please do forgive me.
Of course, I figured you just went into this sort of thing. A lot of people won't.
No, but I can understand want for it. There's a certain degree of what would the word? Je ne sais quoi. Just un petit peu de franc. No. It's quite alright though. I do enjoy the fact that you've situated yourself quite well. And if I may approach, she places the cane a little presumptively on the first step going up to the high rise that is the throne overseeing events.
She nods, allowing him to come closer.
He walks up and places himself so his eyes are at level with hers, despite the fact he's standing. Looks over the room. It's quite fascinating what she's done here. My dear, I wanted to seek out shall we say, a bit of hospitality and see what it was that ended up bringing a new life to New Salem. It's quite the spectacle, if I do say so myself. Kind of reminds me of the old shindigs back in the 40s. Yeah. Well, then again, back then, you had to end up knocking on specific doors and saying some words to particularly burly men who wanted you harmed if you decide to get out of line with the ladies and the wasted hooch.
Well, we do try and keep ourselves entertained. Otherwise, it becomes a very long and boring night.
Well, I'm sorry if I might come across a little bit boring to you. It is understandable, however. It's legs ain't what they used to be, 2 out of 3 ain't working, so now I'm leaning on a cane.
Well, at least something's working then.
Well, that being said, I'd like to formally offer service to one who's managed to end up showing that they can handle this sort of thing. I'd like to end up presenting you with a few options down the line if you have a time for business. After all, I hate to mix business and pleasure, and I could see you're working, so let's not waste any time while you are deriving pleasure with further business.
I'm always up for talking business. Please, and she'll rise and start walking behind the throne, where you'll see that there's a door.
Keep into the office. Appreciate it. He hobbles his way towards the door and ends up reaching for it and opening it for the dear lady. After all, it's all about propriety.
And they will walk into the back and we'll see what these other two are doing.
Down the streets of New Sarum, there is a very large woman who is doing quite well tonight. Driving on her motorbike, her brother in tow. Driving 5 miles an hour under the speed limit. Coming to a complete stop at every stop sign, stoplight, yellow light included. She has decided to give the new establishment of her, what was the word? Clanmate? Yeah, clan was what he said. Okay. To give it a visit, see, how nice it is. And, well, she's not going to be buying anything, but... And she kind of putters down the road, her motorcycle.
Good God, stop being a fucking smartass. Jesus Christ. Going as fast as you did the last time, maybe a little if. But 5 miles an hour just doesn't cut it. Jesus. You're killing me here.
She kind of shakes as though she kind of laughs. And then she speeds back up to the actual speed limit. She was going 5 under. Actually, going 5 under is a bit more dangerous. So, and she resumes about halfway through. She resumes driving normally. She just wanted to, poke fun at her brother. they go to the pleasure palace. And Sin looks down at her clothing choice. Well, it's not out of place, I guess. I mean, they never mind. I'm not gonna bring that up.
As
she just
Edwin is off the bike and on the curb before Sin, he takes a look over at her. Yeah, you'll fit in. And if anyone doesn't like it, they can kiss your ass.
exactly. She almost says something else. She kind of opens her mouth slightly and then never mind. She begins walking in, her hands kind of in her pockets, trying to look as unassuming as possible, as much as is possible for a woman of over 6 feet tall. And she kind of steps in, unless there's someone at the door.
There is. If you've never
Okay.
been here, they will want to see ID and have you sign a waiver. Especially if you don't look old enough or close to being legal age. If you look much older, like, say, an 80, 60 something year old man, they're not going to pay you much mind. As a young woman, that's an entirely different story. Edwin has a card because he's been here a couple times, though.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Edwin will just look over at Jess. Remember, read the contract extremely thoroughly before signing it, and I'll see you a little bit later. And he just walks past the podium and back towards the private room to just, how can we say it, bypass the usual activity.
So Sin will be out there for a minute reading and signing paperwork then?
Yep.
All right, so back into the private room. Bianca shows Bartholomew in. It's a very lush, comfortable room. Some high back chairs, couches. On one wall, there's a very large screen TV that has cameras showing what's going on in the main area.
Wow. Definitely not lacking for security and comfort. I'm glad to end up seeing that. Dear Bianca, if I might take a seat. I
Please
might have
do.
the pleasure of your company.
Please
Thank you.
do.
Appreciate it. Always good to have a bit of hospitality. Now, I won't waste too much more of your time. Much as I'm sure you'd love me to continue kissing your ass, it's not the thing that interests you. Though you might drive a little bit. Old lips ain't what they used to be. No.
I'm sure they know.
However, doesn't make me entirely useless to you. See, my dear. And he starts to pull out some reading specs. Now, as I mentioned before, I'm trying to get a bit of semblance. It seems like you and me just tend to meet the most awkward of times. I'd like to try and get a bit of handle on some things. Old warrior such as yourself, well, needs to be paid a certain degree of respect, a certain degree of dues, if you will. So, what I was thinking was a exchange of numbers and practicalities, if such things interest you.
Well, what sort of numbers and practicalities are we talking?
Well, I understand that you have, well, to put it bluntly, gone through hell in a handbasket. You also ended up having a knack for acquiring property, shall we say. So, that all said and done, I'm kind of curious as to, is this a reward for your services rendered to our fair city?
Surprisingly, no. It's me saving up money and purchasing the property when I found it available.
Distasteful. Well, I'd like to end up offering a certain degree of services myself. I have a thing with vehicles, as you may have been able to tell. What most people don't seem to understand is that I'm very quick to getting certain vehicles off the road and maybe even remove certain bits of, shall we say, controversial evidence. I'd like to also end up offering the fact that you might want to end up having a certain degree of, what the proper phrase was, that English? You're wanting to end up keeping being off the road with particular vehicles, such as the one that you might have charged towards your personal accounts and anything that might come back to you. Given your previous tenure, I thought that that might be something of use to you.
My previous tenure.
Well, removing the Sabbat influence from our city. It's very hard not to end up thinking of such recent events, and they scar deep. And I'd like to end up making it very clear what I'm capable of doing for those who end up showing true loyalty to the city.
Well, my dear, what is it you're offering then, in specifics?
Vehicles, a way to move things without causing too much trouble, and the nice ability to have the ability to move, shall we say, product, without having too many traces come back, because the vehicle only exists for as long as it stays on the road.
And what are you wanting in return?
Depends on the risk involved, quite frankly, but more than anything, I'm wanting to make sure that these options are available to certain people who may take as seriously as I do Grand Little Secret. I know there's a lot who will say it, but actions speak a little louder than words. And this is my action to somebody who's already proven to be a woman of action. Does that make sense to you, my dear?
It does.
I support the winning horse in that regard. You are such a head of the race in that regard. And I'd like to make sure that that's the case, keep tenure going, because, well, it would seem that your clan has fallen on a little bit of harder times, should I say. As you, well, that whole mess with the Yakuza, for instance.
She narrows her eyes at you slightly. Oh, and what do you know of such things?
Well, I know certain members of court can't be showing their faces. I'm gonna have to lay low for a little while. Figure the ability for transport might be a little bit more limited. I'd like to help rectify that a little bit and make it a little easier. For as nice as it is to be able to just kind of drop off the face of the planet, it kind of becomes a hassle to try and move from location to location. And there's a whole other mess that ends up coming down that may require other people's expertise, but the more I learn about a problem, the more that I am capable of aiding it. About supply and demand, if you understand.
Oh yes, supply and demand's very clear.
And I would like to extend that in a good source of friendship.
I will accept your offer should I have need of it.
All I ask is that you end up giving it a thought or two. Yes, after all, I want to end up making it very clear what it is that I do. And you've made it abundantly clear what you do. He looks around at the cameras that are showcasing the club, the many screens. I don't really feel that a person's, shall we just say, fetishes be done with it should really end up having any bearing on the quality of work that they do. So you'll get no judgment from me in that angle.
Well, that's good to hear.
No.
Seems to have company. She'll stand up and head to the door. She opens the door.
Bianca, how you doing?
Edwin, my dear, it's a pleasure. Please come in.
Edwin kind of adjusts his shoulders a little bit, and the bag on his opposite shoulder, just kind of readjusting it as he walks in. You look like seem like you're doing a lot better than last time. That's good.
I make do.
Making do's all well and good, but doing better is always preferable.
Doing better is what we're working on, right? Isn't that right, Mr. Bonchet?
It ain't the pup. Well, doing better is good, but being prepared is better. And I'd like to end up keeping everything afloat. No one rocking the boat one way or the other. So, that being said, I'd like to, well, he raises himself off the couch slowly, eventually gets himself to balance in front of his cane. I'd like to end up making sure that everything ends up going down hunky-dory, everybody getting along, everybody pulling the rope. So, that being said, if there's anything else you need, Bianca, don't hesitate to call. Pleasure.
Do you have a card, my dear?
Well, kind of flicks it off. Yeah. Goes to a cell phone. Should be able to get a hold of me when you need me.
Wonderful. I greatly appreciate it.
Well, it's all well and good. Besides, I'd like to end up seeing everybody end up building themselves up. Strong city makes for a strong camera, Everybody on the line, everybody watching over each other like good neighbors as we should be. Makes everything so much easier, isn't that right, Mr. Mathis?
Matthias.
Matthias.
I'm
I'll get it one day.
very familiar with you, Bartholomew.
Oh, why's that, my dear?
Word goes around, and my ears are open.
Oh. Well, you do flatter me then, Mr. Matthias. And if you don't mind me asking, who is the little bird that is whispering in your ear? I hope that's good things.
Just another voice in the rabble.
No voice, no babble. Takes platform. Well, unless everybody else is talking whispers, well, we'll leave it at that. Mr. Matthias, I will leave you to the pleasurable company of Miss Bianca. And if there's anything that is required, well, you know so much about me. I'm sure you can get a hold of me when it's required. After all, you little buddies probably know how to end up getting a hold. Keep going. Keep the path, Mr. Matthias.
Edwin steps aside a little bit, giving a pleasant nod to Bart, almost looking disappointed in the shoulders as he takes a seat. Oh, where the hell is she? But as he looks over to where Bart's walking to, it is good. It is good to see that the new venture structure is settling in and keeping the boat more even.
Well, we do what we can. Good evening to you, Mr. Matthias, Miss Cassidy.
Mr. Blanchard.
He starts to make his way, opening the door. Lets himself out as he ends up closer behind. Smothered in that air of human sweat and salt. Oh, fun times for the youthful. Fun times. That's funny.
So, Mr. Matthias, what brings you in here tonight?
Well, apparently I was to give a impromptu tour about the party districts of the city. Which means we should have company not too much longer from now.
Have they been here before?
Nah. I left her to reading the contract to consent. So she's probably determining whether or not she consents.
Did you bother to tell her how to get back here to the private room?
No.
So you slipped through the wall, though.
I decided to back off a little bit. Too much pestering.
Bianca glances over the large TVs, seeing if she can see somebody that might be looking lost.
It helps if the player unmutes his mic. There is a particular distinct figure in a biking jacket, who's a full 2 heads taller than everyone. Kind of moving her way through, looking around, and let me see here. She's just kind of looking around at the place. She doesn't seem to. Let me see.
There are 3 stages. There's a large area for sitting that you can see most of the stages from any of the seats. There is a bar/food area, and there's a raised dais with a throne on it that is currently empty. And over by the bar, there's a door leading into somewhere.
And coming from off that throne, you might notice a particular individual dressed to impress, of course.
Sin recognizes Mr. Blanchet and gives him a smile. Evening.
And yeah, well, that was. Hey, oh, my dear. Do forgive me. Well, if you do forgive me, I've not seen you in some time. I'm sure you've been doing a lot of rabble rousing over the course of the past couple of evenings. Haven't heard from you in a little while. I was starting to thought you forgot about the old man.
No, just been a bit quiet. Shop didn't work out, but
Shop didn't work out. Whatever is that?
she thinks for a moment. I'm not sure.
Well, if you're not sure, it's best to end up looking over it. Good lesson to end up learning over life. You got so much left in you. Go on for a long time. Stop thinking about things. Actually, I was thinking about you the other day. And all of a sudden, you came to mind not too long ago, in fact. I ended up running into a gentleman who says he's heard some things. And, well, I'm looking for a little birdie myself. Wouldn't happen to know one, would you?
That depends on who you're talking about.
Oh, Mr. Matthews. No. He said no to that one. There was Thias. That was the one. Yeah, that was the last
one. Yeah, I know him. He's a friend, I imagine.
Oh, friend. Oh, it's good to have friends. My dear, it's good to have friends in this day and age. That's a very good thing. So, tell me, what brings you into this den of perversions and pleasures? Not the type for spanking, are you the other type?
It's not really my cup of tea, but, well, I figured it can't hurt to give a compliment.
Oh, I think it can't hurt. I think that's the whole point.
He kind of smiles. Well, yeah, I guess so.
More than a guess, my dear. Still, I'm content of seeing you run you in. So I can make a guess here that you are here to visit the Queen of the Palace. Maybe.
Yeah, I was just gonna congratulate her on a good job she's doing here.
Oh, good job. What is it that you think qualifies as a good job, my dear?
She looks around. How many people are here?
There's probably 50 to 75.
Well, she just started, didn't she? And the place has this many people in on a Saturday night.
Oh, yes, it does. I'm rather curious myself. But that being said, I'd like to end up making sure that, well, everybody's situated comfortably. Have you been comfortable, my dearest Seven?
Sorry, I didn't quite catch that.
Have you been comfortable, my dearest Seven?
Yeah, fairly.
Well, I'm sure you would let yourself right on in, man. After all, it seems everybody else does.
She kind of looks around. In where exactly? If you don't mind me asking, Mr. Monche.
Ah, you never been. Oh, okay, interesting. Well, he kind of leans in. Gonna have to bend down, dear. I can't quite whisper in your ear if that's your figure gets in the way. Kind of gestures to your chest.
Sin crouches down to the comparatively minuscule man.
Yeah, well, you see, the thing is right behind that big chair of hers, she happens to have a little bit of a doorway. Now, I'd suggest knocking, propriety and all. She seems to be busy with an individual right now. But if I was you, I would end up making sure that not only you're lavishing her with praise, but try and end up making a good friend. My dear, you need good friends in this day and age, especially with things so uncertain. Are we clear?
Yes, of course.
Well, it's good to make a friend. That old hand just kind of taps you on the side of the cheek. It's good to make friends, and I'm glad to have made one. Now, my dear, I'm going to have to make myself scarce. I think you can understand this isn't exactly my kind of scene, but I will end up being sure to keep in contact, and if you need anything, well, you let me know. Ciao.
She nods and gives a wave at him.
Oh, not too much. What's going on tonight? Just I needed to get out, and I don't know. This part of the city is a pretty fun and exciting place.
Well, I'm glad you like it. I do try to keep myself entertained and hoping for others find it entertaining as well.
After my last bit of, I guess you could call it half entertainment, half dinner plan. Well, a third entertainment, a third dinner plan. Experiment. Slowing down just a little bit might be a good idea.
Slowing down on occasion never hurts.
And Edwin takes his laptop out and opens it up and just kind of wakes it up a little bit. And makes a couple keystrokes. Oh, come on, New Serum Times. Well, that's good. Well, it's actually not good. Oh, well. How have you been taking the recent uprising of a serial killer going
Oh, they've
around?
been here for over a decade, my dear. It's nothing new.
No, I just mean the recent string.
It's a possibility that they're actually a copycat, not the original. There's a slight change in the MO. You wouldn't know that unless you've been following it for the last 10, 15 years. But
Yeah, not particularly.
change in location, change in target type, but still the same actions done to it.
Suppose in order to go that far, you'd have to have a really strong conviction, like perhaps I don't know, vengeance.
Or you're simply a sociopath and have no empathy for a fellow human.
Good point. Good point.
And she glances over at the screen, watching Sin and Bart talk and then Bart walk off. Wonder if he told her where to go, or she's just gonna wander aimlessly.
Sin moves her way towards the back room. Not sure who Bartholomew was talking about, but she knocks.
Is she knocking on the door behind the throne?
Yes.
Bianca watches the screen.
Looks like we have our answer.
It does, except Bart didn't tell her to go into the hallway first. On the door. Would you like to go get your sister, or shall I?
Edwin jumps up from his seat, resituating or catching the bag before it falls, putting it back on the couch, and steps behind the door to where when it opens, Sin sees the door just open. Nobody actually opening it.
Sin pauses a moment. And she'll kind of duck and then kind of move that way. She'll kind of push. She'll kind of just say, "Oh, okay, I'll just open the door even more." She kind of pushes the door a little more open.
Right as she steps in and does that, from behind the door, "Hello, stranger." Step inside. Come on.
Oh, it's you. Okay. She she's able to stand up again after the first doorway, and she makes sure the door shuts behind her.
Well, well, well. Here it is. I wouldn't call it home away from home, but
For what it is, it's nice. I guess having a lot of people at your business is not a bad thing.
Well, that would be Bianca's good work. Wait, you didn't really expect that I opened a place like this, right?
You? Okay. I would be very surprised if you did.
And he walks right past her back to the couch. And fiddles with his laptop a little bit, closing one window, opening another. So I guess I can get down to a little bit of business tonight, if that's okay.
As you wish, my dear.
Do you know what the size of the room for the installation is?
Not exact dimensions.
Rough guess.
I don't know. There are several rooms in the house, and we don't definitely want the bedrooms and the main living space, hallway. You want square footage or
Would help. Square footage, number of rooms, approximate layout. Can be rough.
and she will give the estimate of what she thinks the layout is. She's gotten pretty good with size after drawing up where she wants all the walls here and such, and knowing how much space you need for walls and whatnot.
As
Should
Edwin
be.
starts typing away.
It should be probably 2 bedrooms, maybe 3. Never really got that far.
So you've been to the house in question?
Yes, I have been to it. I never went back and explored that beyond where I was invited to.
No. Private spaces, not for guests. It's pretty normal in most people's houses.
Exactly, my dear.
Let me see. Kind of moves a separate mouse off to the side a little bit. In square motions, arcing motions, things like that. It's not too difficult to say that he's either moving something across the screen or drawing something with his mouse as a guide. All right. Let me see. Security installation. Extrapolation. Save. All right. Well, I wanted to at least, try to get some idea of, where. Have you gotten permission to actually have the work done? Because
Oh, yes.
I can't just go into someone's house if they don't know.
Oh, don't worry about that, my dear. That's all been taken care of.
So other than that, as he places the laptop back in his bag securely with everything else, what else is shaking? And he just kind of sits back and kind of does that to Sin.
Sin looks but to Edwin and then to Bianca. She didn't want to interrupt Edwin's conversation. She gives a smile and a nod to Bianca. Good evening, Bianca. Uh, she looks
Good
around.
evening, my dear.
It's a nice place. Seems like it's going pretty well.
Thank you.
Not that I know anything about uh, running a business, but it's 50 or so people is not a bad thing on a Saturday night.
Considering how distant it is from mainstream, it's actually quite a large crowd. Stays pretty steady most of the night too, which is a good thing. Some clubs start off busy and then trail off quickly. I personally would rather have it steady, consistent. You have to make sure what you're offering is consistent as well, though, so I suppose that helps.
Yeah, it keeps the people interested. And Bianca can tell that Sin really doesn't have any idea what that means for business in general. She's just kind of guessing. It's fairly obvious. I'm just a security guard. I don't know much.
You gotta start somewhere, my dear.
What an interesting side, Sim. Nice and, how can I say, modest.
She kind of looks sideways at Edwin. Well, yeah, at this point, that's all I'm doing. I mean, I had my eyes on a pawn shop. Hours are a little weird, though. She kind of gestures to all three of them. Yeah, the hours are a little weird for that, but maybe finding one that's open all night. They ask fewer questions.
Were you trying to buy it or just get a job there?
Well, eventually, I think it would be fun to learn, and it could be useful to run a pawn shop.
You could. Have you thought about talking to Brock about investing in it?
She thinks for a moment. Yeah, I've been meaning to see him. I haven't seen him in a while.
He does tend to get busy. Wonder if he ever got that other bar open. I remember he talked about it at one time, but never heard if he ever made a move on it. I'll have to ask him.
Oh, I'll have to ask him.
If you're gonna own a place, though, I'd definitely recommend getting yourself a ghoul.
Yeah, I've heard about that. Makes things a little bit easier. Yes.
Oh,
It very much does so.
shoot.
Yes, mine runs most of the day-to-day affairs of the club, especially that which needs to happen while the sun's out. I love this time of year, though. So much time in the night, it's almost uncanny what to do with myself.
Oh yeah, it's a lot nicer. I think I joined in uh, July. The nights were really, really short. I was wondering how you'd get anything done.
I've had a goal since fairly early on, probably within my first 2 years, so had too much I had to do. Couldn't do it all on my own.
Could have just befriended the person.
No, because then you'd understand why you're only available from sundown until sunup. They need to be able to be trusted 110 complete percent. There can be no room for misunderstanding what you want.
You see, if I remember correctly, ghouls are humans that drink our blood and all that stuff.
Yes. Give them a little bit of blood a few times and they'll do just about anything you ask. No, I'll take that back. They will do anything you ask. Make sure you're very careful with them because they will be highly emotional and nervous in regards to you. Not nervous like afraid of you. Nervous like they want to make sure you're happy.
But they still have lives, right? They're still people.
Oh yes, up until, I don't know, a year or so ago, mine even had a job where she was going out and doing photography.
Not anymore?
No, opening the club and such is taking far more of her time, so we just pay her directly out of the club, so she's not losing any money. She continues to live comfortably, take care of things for the club, and she has even less that she has to worry about that isn't related to me.
Doesn't sound like a terrible gig.
I was a girl before I was embraced.
But what do they want after that first drink?
After the first drink, they're going to be strongly emotional, told you. For good or bad, so I recommend treating them well, especially early on. After the second, most any suggestion will get done, unless it's very much against who they are.
And
After the third or fourth time, they will even kill people for you, even if that's not something they'd normally do. My dear Miranda's never had to kill anybody for me, but she has had to deal with some things just because I can't be there at those times.
I don't think it's as creative as dealing with human beings without forcing blood down their throat.
You're more than welcome to deal with them as normal human beings. You just can't guarantee their trust. Just remember, the masquerade comes first. Plus, then, if you do ghoul them, they are then protected by the masquerade.
And how many other kindred feel that same way? Surely not everyone thinks
Yes.
human beings like that are
Abort has goals, I have goals.
equal.
Isabel has goals, the prince has goals, every primogen has goals. The hobbits, I'm certain, have goals. Be very surprised if they didn't. Let's see. I think even the Tremere have goals, and they're the most secretive type that folks should find.
Just sounds monstrous.
So does being a blood-sucking monster who prowls the night in search of their prey for that next drink. But we do it anyways. You have to come to terms with that. And I don't have to feed Miranda blood every night. To the point where I have to give her blood once a month. Just because after a while they will become slightly addicted to it, and not giving it to them, you'll have to deal with them going through withdrawals and many ghouls tend to become much stronger than they were beforehand. The strength is very potent, you might say. So you have to be careful because they actually can become a threat.
I think people who do have the aptitude to be social should use it without blood.
By all means, I deal with many humans without using blood. I only use it on one person.
Yes.
That's so that I don't have to risk the masquerade.
But trusting them without risking that rule, without blood,
You
that's
have to be much
real
more careful
trust.
in what you say.
But that's
If you
real
told
trust.
time about us and they weren't blood-bound, and it was found out, let's see what happened last time. Oh, right, they forced him to blood-bond the individual. It was that, or they both died.
You don't have to tell a kind what you really are, to be honest with them.
Then you're obviously not being honest. Honest means not keeping secrets. Any secrets. In regards to your conversation. If you're talking about who you are, I'm not saying you're a vampire. It's keeping a secret, which means you're not being honest. Which means you can only assume that they're being just as dishonest with you.
I
It's
don't
very
know. It's just black and white.
Oh, the masquerade is very black and white. More red and white.
I don't know. I just... There's always an in-between shade.
That's
Just because you
not.
keep
That's
secrets
why you have
doesn't
to
mean you're
decide
being
whether you-
dishonest.
By definition, it does, my dear. It's a lie of omission, which is still a lie.
Nothing in most languages are always taken literally.
Oh, they can be taken literally quite easily in most languages. In fact, that's why the language was created the way it was to be literal understanding.
Well, it's at least good to see Cinny Sin Sin getting out and about.
Yeah, I've been cooped up too much, which isn't good.
Definitely not.
Can't learn anything by just staying in my apartment all the time. And it gets boring.
That it does.
You can only go to the gym so many times.
I haven't been to a gym in God, it's been how many years? Far more than I want to admit. I think I was in high school last time I went to a gym.
Sen looks down. Like, well, I don't have to do it for my figure anymore. That's a relief.
No, it's not. You can just work on whatever you want.
And why exactly have you been more shut in the apartment?
Eh, some nights I just like sleeping. Oh! I got that new Xbox. I was playing video games,
That's
but
good.
it's. I'm just trying to find what I really want to do. That's why I'm looking into that pawn shop. I think that would be something interesting to learn and have as a project. I'm sure it could be useful to someone at some point.
That would certainly be a lot harder to manage, a lot harder to manage to do if you always sleep in late.
Actually, it can be quite easy. Make the con owner your ghoul. Have them sign over the paperwork so that you're not the owner and they work for you. You know, in a pawn shop.
Sin kind of scratches her head a bit. That would cause some issues eventually, wouldn't it?
Oh, probably, but that's for you to work out later. If you're just worried about the here and now.
Right.
And on the topic of honesty, isn't that dishonest business practices?
Well, I never said you had to be honest. It's not my decision.
I don't really have any way to actually force them to do it. As far as I can
Bianca
tell,
chuckles.
if they, well, it kind of makes them want to because they would want to, well, yeah, they'd kind of want to do it. So that's okay.
Why not actually proving that you're more of a valuable asset as a business partner than as an employee? Without that.
True, that could be an interesting challenge too.
Like I said, there's many ways to go about it. Just be prepared to deal with the repercussions of whichever choice you make.
I think one of the bigger reasons is that in my current job, people start asking questions like, why can't you switch shifts with me on day shift? It's best if I go into some other line of work. Unless I try to, well, that would be a little more tricky, but unless I advance in the security company.
On average, graveyard shift is not usually in the highest demand.
True.
How much are you making right now?
Sin gives a rough figure that amounts to. Yeah, she gives a rough figure that pretty much would amount to her getting a few hundred after bills left over.
Well, if you're interested, my club's only open at night, and I'm always looking for security.
Sin thinks for a moment. I know Brock offered too. Part of me doesn't want to work security though.
Well, what do you want to do then?
Well, like I said, that was why my interest kind of got piqued by the pawn shop. Be a business person. That would be challenging, but it would be interesting.
Well, you could always open your own pawn shop. Call it something cheesy like Dusk Till Dawn.
Hashtag movie references.
I could do that too, actually.
Just need to get yourself some capital. And a bunch of junk that people want to buy.
I think the best way for her to start would be getting a job in a pawn shop, learning the business especially.
Well, next time you go to apply, make sure that they're feeling especially empathetic towards hiring you.
Indeed. Make a good impression.
Let your presence be felt, as it were.
Sin nods. She's heard that before, and yeah, she nods. She seems to understand.
And if you're not entirely sure how to, let me know and I'll be more than happy to help you learn.
She nods. Like I think I have a good idea.
Wonderful.
Excellent. And here I wasn't sure what to expect out of the night. It's good to see her. Think serious about a new opportunity.
While you're at it, make sure you're making plenty of money. Be very amenable to it.
Sin
Don't go too crazy, though.
She nods.
Well, as Edwin gets up and grabs his bag, putting it over his shoulder, I'll leave you to it.
Let me know when you have a rough pricing and I'll write you a check for it.
Pricing after shipping's going to be $33.50.
Perfect. When would you like to check?
That's why I gave you the website. I'll let you make the order. And when the equipment comes in, we'll set up a date to do the installation.
Wonderful.
Although, to be perfectly honest, the base unit that has to stay on site at the same location the cameras are in order to transmit, does require an internet connection and has to be there. It's a fairly sizable box, so
Can it go in an attic?
not typically. That kind of wiring doesn't generally run into an attic space.
Could it be run?
Take extra cable. And you'd
Not
have
a
to be
problem.
careful to keep it on the inside of the walls. But I could probably piggyback it wirelessly. I'd still have to make a slight cut and then patch the wall afterwards, kind of like a cork. But it would be unsightly.
I'll think of something. Don't want it to be an eyesore.
All right. And as he turns toward the door, he kind of looks back at Zen. And don't be a stranger. You don't have to avoid me. I'm not going to pester you anymore. I just want to see you succeed. And he continues towards the door and exits.
Sin stands. Oh, he didn't tell me if he wanted a ride. Oh well. If he's gone, he's walking. Or taking
That's
a
what I
walk.
assumed he was doing. I hear you've been slipping lately. Having trouble with your anger, you might say.
Sin looks. Well, I haven't frenzied.
That's good. How many people have you killed?
Just one.
This is perception, empathy. Is that somewhat accurate?
That is correct.
What did you do with the body?
Well, he was killed fairly normally, so I just left him there.
Then where did you leave this body?
In his bed.
And how long ago was this?
A few weeks now. But
I don't remember seeing anything in the news about it. Neighbors should have started smelling something.
they might have just chalked it up to another gang killing. He's a
It's
known
possible.
gang member.
Makes it even more possible. You do know who to contact if their death happens from fading, yes?
Yes, I do. And she smiles because accidents happen. Hey, that's why he did that. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. As if she like kind of just now realizes what marketing is. Uh, and like how there's a Tremere and I think there
Yes.
was a Ventrue.
Nora Roberts is the Ventrue. Victor Calfan is the Tremere. Just remember to try and maintain that semblance of humanity as long as you can. When it starts to slip, you seem to care less and less about every little thing. And suddenly you're just a mindless monster running around attacking everybody until you're put to final death. They say that it's a slippery slope, and it is. It's one the Sabbat used to use on us. Do that to their people. Make them all but mindless monsters and send them in swarms. If you start finding yourself slipping and need help, talk to someone. I would rather help stop your descent if it happens than have to put you down.
And she nods.
We're family.
And yeah, Sin nods and she says, "Yeah, that's definitely something I want to keep an eye out on."
Try not to sleep in too late. People start asking questions.
Yeah, can't have too many questions. Starts to get awkward.
Yes, it does.
And Sin will stand up and look around. I just wanted to visit since you had the new place.
I appreciate that.
And I hope you have a good evening.
You too, my dear.
And Sin will smile and leave. Looking around, most likely Edwin caught a bus or walked. Oh well, his loss. He had a free ride, but he didn't take it. Now he has to pay for the bus or walk. And Sin will get on her motorcycle, not seeing her brother anywhere, unless Edwin have taken the bus.
Would Edwin have unmuted?
Not if he had tape over his mouth at this moment and was in one of the rooms in the back. No, when she steps outside, or when Sin steps outside of the room, back out into the, how can we say it, main area, probably surrounded by 3 stages. everywhere that you might immediately look for him, you don't see him. You might see somebody and it might look like him, but then if you get closer, no.
Okay. Well, Sin remembers his, last words to her before he left. Do you think I'm avoiding him? Well, I'm not doing that. At least, wait, am I? Whatever. Then she gets onto her bike and thinks to herself as she rides off. Thinks to herself out Bianca's words, and a question keeps popping up. What if they deserve it?
And Bianca watches Sin leave on the cameras and gets up, heads into the office across the hall, gives Miranda the information for the purchase. Well, my dear, it seems we now just need to find ourselves a locksmith and try and figure out a way to bypass having to break open walls. Maybe another manufacturer. And then she kind of pets her on the head like a animal, like a dog almost, and walks back out to enjoy her evening of entertainment in the club that is the Pleasure Palace. Thank you all for playing, and thank you for watching. Good night.